Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do a review of Labo's Myrrhe 55, but before I jump in, I want to give you guys some video clips that I think will help to set the mood for this review. Enjoy.
Put the blame on Mame. Mame gave a chump such an ice cold no. For 7 days they shovel snow, so you can put the blame on Mame, boy. Put the
Oh, good morning. How very pretty you look in your nightgown.
Anybody got a match? Thanks.
Who's that?
Hey everyone. So I wanted to review this perfume because I got a sample way back in August, right when it was first released. This is a 2023 release for Labo, and it's the Shanghai city exclusive. And with the Labo city exclusives, you can only buy them in the city where they're named. So this one's only available in Shanghai, except for once a year in the month of September, you can buy a full bottle anywhere that there's a Le Labo boutique, and in August you can buy a sample anywhere that there's a Le Labo boutique. So in August I bought a sample, smelled it, thought it was nice. I did a video, you can watch that. But then I sort of put it away and didn't think about it very much more. But then a friend of mine, Kelly, on YouTube, she has a channel, and I'll link it. She bought a full bottle, and I watched her review, and I ended up going back to find my sample, sprayed it on, and after hearing her talk about it, I fell in love with the perfume in a way that I had kind of discounted it before. Um, and I wore through the whole sample, and I asked Kelly if I could buy a decant from her. And she refused, but she actually sent me a gifted 10 ml decant. And you can see I've gone through a little bit more than half of that so far. And I've been wearing it a lot and loving it. The Labo gives the notes for Myrrhe 55 as myrrh, jasmine, patchouli, oud, ambergris, and musk. But the naming convention at Le Labo is that there are, it's the star ingredient is the name of the perfume, so in this case myrrh, and then the number after it denotes the number of ingredients there. So this one supposedly has 55 different ingredients beyond what they've named in those 7 or 8. And this one smells very complex. So I'll spray it again to get a reminder of the opening. This is a beautiful opening. It's a very, very big perfume in general. But the opening in particular is really, really bombastic. It has a giant jasmine note, and it's a really clean, super sweet, almost like marshmallowy jasmine. It's really, really delectable. There's also this weird thing up top that has like an after smell of not quite diesel, but if you've ever like smelled, like if you've depressed a Bic lighter and smelled some of the butane that comes out, this, instead of when you're spraying it there being an alcohol smell, there's almost like a butane smell, which is really kind of interesting and dark, which is a theme for this perfume. Also in the opening, I get a lot of sweet notes. It's very sweet, bordering on gourmand. The first time I smelled it, I thought it smelled sort of like a snickerdoodle cookie. It's got some like warm, spicy elements, like I want to say cinnamon. And as it dries down a little bit, just like 30 minutes in, I always get this coconutty vibe, and not like a tropical vacation coconut, but like the husk of a coconut and like the fleshy white part inside. It's really pretty. It's like an interesting combination of notes that you don't get very often. I feel so often perfumes in the opening rely on big blasts of citrus or florals, or kind of like a a gotcha kind of opening where you smell it at the counter and you instantly want to buy it. This one, not just in the opening but throughout, I think it takes time to get to know, and I really appreciate that about this perfume. So it's also my scent of the day, and I have a dry down here of 2 or 3 hours. Um, and in the mid, it becomes that Myrrhe becomes really evident, and it's gorgeous because you get to experience a lot of the different facets that Myrrhe can display. And so what I mean by that is, for me at least, with Myrrhe, in many perfumes, I think it's used to give like a vaguely incensey vibe to a perfume. Here, though, it feels as though it's dosed in such a way that you can really smell the raw material, and it smells a little bit like a resin that's not burnt, but it's in like a jar or something. It's very cold. It's definitely got a cold vibe to it. It's a little bit metallic. Um, it also has a smell that's slightly like aldehydic or fizzy. It reminds me very much of Coca-Cola, because it's the color of the smell, if that makes sense, is dark brown, but it's also a little fizzy and sweet. The actual myrrh is sweet. Um, the other big thing that I get from this perfume, which starts in the mid and goes all the way to the base, is this really nice licorice effect, like a black licorice smell that it gives it a darkness. And that's kind of why I wanted to play those clips in the beginning of the video, is because when I wear this perfume, it makes me think very directly of film noir and the characters in those movies, these strong leading ladies and leading men, like Bacall and Brando, and the characters that they play, which are, always these tragically flawed but very attractive people. And the setting of these movies is dark and rainy, even though, a lot of film noir is set in San Francisco and Los Angeles, but it's always rainy and dark, and people are wearing trench coats, and the women are wearing like fabulous suits or lingerie in some of the moments in the movies. And that's kind of what I get from this perfume. It's very, very dark or noir, but also kind of slinky and clever and winking and sexy. So I like that a lot about it. Also, in the base of this perfume, as it gets to the deep dry down, and this perfume lasts a long time. I easily get 12 hours out of it, and the sillage on it is very big for the first 6 hours. It's a big perfume. But in a kind of a nice way, it doesn't feel cloying. So I tend to wear, even though it's a pretty big perfume, I tend to wear a lot of it, because you can get a nice effect from it by spraying. And of course, spraying from something like this doesn't have the same effect as spraying from the big bottle. But I think that's a mark of a good perfume. If it's big but applying too much doesn't cause you to immediately retch, I think that's a mark of quality. Anyway, in the dry down, it becomes more evident what the brand means when they call this a sheep or a chypre. There is a mossiness to the patchouli in the base. It took me a while, but I also definitely get some of the oud or the oudiness that they claim. It's like a nice, not a fecal or stinky oud, but that like strange, kind of off, unplaceable, exotic woods feeling that you get from good oud perfumes. That's definitely in the dry down. There's also a really, really satisfying saltiness in the dry down from the ambroxan. And I assume that in the opening of the perfume, a lot of the lift and sillage is coming from that ambroxan, but the smell of ambroxan isn't as evident up top. Whereas in the base, the power has died down, but that sort of vague, woody, salty mineral accord still exists and is really kind of nice when you're in bed. I also read another review, which I agree with, which said that, I think it was for this perfume, but this is the kind of thing where it's a great workday perfume because when you spray it on, it's kind of big and bright and bold and fresh. But it lasts for a very long time, and by the time that you've gotten home and are winding down for the day, it's kind of like a moody, dark, easy to wear skin scent. And I agree, it's really, whereas in the heart notes, it has this coolness from that like licorice and the myrrh. In the base, it kind of regains a warmth, which is no longer sweet or as sweet. It's no longer spicy. It's just kind of this woody, musky saltiness, which I think is really, really nice. I'm addicted to the dry down. Overall, I'd say this is easily one of my favorite releases of 2023. I think it's extremely creative. It doesn't smell like a lot of other things that I've smelled before, even though it has a vague retroness to it. So I've really, really enjoyed sampling this one. I fully intend to get a full bottle next September when it's available again. If you've tried this one, let me know your thoughts below, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Hey, you mind if I make myself comfortable? My shirt is sticking.
Please, please do.
Be comfortable. That's my motto up where I come from.
It's mine, too. It's hard to stay looking fresh in hot weather. Well, I haven't washed or even powdered. And here you are.
Well, you know, you gotta be careful. You're sitting around a damn thing gets you cold. Especially when you've been exercising hard like Bowling is. Well, you're the teacher, aren't you?
Yes.
What do you teach?
English?
Well, I never was very good English student.
After the show tonight, Yolanda, if you're not too tired.
All right.
Yolanda Lang?
Yolanda Lang.
Who made up a name like that?
Does it matter?
Not to me. Even if your name was Susie Schwarzkopf, I'd like to take you out and see what trouble we could find.
Oh,
Pure research, you understand.
of course.
How tall are you, Yolanda?
With heels?
With anybody?
With heels, I'm 5'10". Without 5'7".
Nobody could ever accuse you of talking too much, could they?
I've never found it necessary.